Okay, so let's set the scene. It's July 1986 near Bakersfield, California. If you were out camping near a place called Saturday Peak that night, you would have seen something just terrifying. A sheriff's deputy, Amelia Lopez, was actually there, and she described it. A jet just rips the night sky apart, going brutally supersonic.
Yeah, and that resulting boom, it hits the cam like a physical punch, and then the entire horizon just lights up, an enormous explosion as the aircraft slams into the mountain. It sparked multiple really fast-moving brush fires.
A huge, uncontrolled event, but the immediate aftermath. That's what defines the mystery here, isn't it?
Exactly. The cleanup was not your standard NTSB investigation, not at all. It was immediate, very heavy-handed military intervention. The sources describe personnel appearing almost instantly.
Right, and we're talking SWAT types brandishing assault rifles. That's a direct quote. They had night vision systems, and they were issuing these extremely serious threats about national security to anyone who got close.
The message was crystal clear. Something of immense classified sensitivity had been lost, and the military was taking complete possession of the entire zone.
I mean, the accounts are just incredible. They detail these soldiers sifting the dirt for 1,000 yards out from the impact point, meticulously cataloging and removing every single piece of debris. And when they finally left, weeks later, the site looked scrubbed clean, like nothing had ever happened.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We need to figure out what asset, what kind of technological breakthrough would require a cover-up on that scale.
Right. We're looking into the highly classified, decades-long search for anti-gravity propulsion, the so-called ultimate quantum leap in aircraft design, and the secrets that have been buried for over 40 years that, might just connect the dots.
And the most astonishing part of this whole thing, for me, is the historical paradox you have to start with. If gravity control is just science fiction, if it's impossible, then why were the leaders of the American aerospace industry talking about it so openly in the 50s?
Not as a dream, but as a current R&D project.
Exactly. That's the disconnect. This wasn't some fringe science. For a brief period in the mid-1950s, the field was public. You had titans of the industry, like Lawrence D. Bell, the founder of Bell Aircraft, and George S. Trimble, who was head of advanced programs at Martin Aircraft. And they were confidently discussing gravity control. Bell stated outright they were already working on equipment to cancel out gravity.
And Trimble put a definite timeline on it, didn't he?
He did. He suggested that the conquest of gravity could be achieved in about the time it took to build the first atom bomb.
So what, 5 years? That's an incredibly bold prediction. They must have thought they were close.
Wildly bold. They expected commercial application by the 1960s, but then by 1957, that public conversation it stops. Completely. It vanishes from the record.
So the working theory is that someone had a breakthrough and the whole thing went dark. Instantly classified at the highest possible level.
That's the theory. It went into the black, leading directly to the kind of immense compartmentalization we see with the Bakersfield crash.
Okay, so let's unpack that first wave of research. The stuff that sparked all this public interest before it disappeared. We have to start with the maverick inventor who was decades ahead of everyone else. Thomas Townsend Brown.
P.T. Brown. He was working on this stuff way back in the 1920s.
Yeah.
He discovered something he called electrogravitics, or dynamic counterbearing. The basic idea was simple, but the result was, well, it was mind-bending.
How did it work?
If you apply a very high-voltage charge to a plate-like conductor positive on one side, negative on the other, the object would actually exhibit thrust toward the positive pole. So if the positive side faced up, the object would literally lose weight.
And he didn't just theorize this, he ran tests.
Oh, yeah. Early model disc airfoils were tested in a vacuum chamber in wind tunnels using charges as high as 150 kilovolts. The sources say the results were so impressive as to be highly classified.
And some of the materials lost a significant amount of their mass, right?
Up to 30%. Think about that for a second. A 30% weight reduction just by running an electrical current through it. Yeah. That's why the military got so interested. In 1952, you had USAF Major General Victor Bertrandius getting really excited about it. But then the official reaction it soured.
It conflicted. You have the excitement, but then the Air Force's internal affairs arm, FOSI, comes in and dismisses the whole effect as not well documented.
That dual reaction is a massive red flag, isn't it? Excitement followed immediately by official denial. And this leads us right to the most famous piece of, well, let's call it what it is, disinformation tied to Brown's work.
The Philadelphia experiment.
The very same. The myth of the USS Eldridge disappearing in 1943, slipping into a parallel dimension. That sensational story was almost certainly intentional disinformatia, a strategic campaign to discredit the entire field.
So you take his legitimate work.
Right. Brown was doing legitimate wartime work on radar stealth, using intense electromagnetic fields, making ships invisible to radar. By linking his name and that core concept to an impossible crazy story, you bury the entire field of electrogravitics under this banner of, fringe paranoia.
It's the perfect technique, really. Take a functional piece of truth and just drown it in a mountain of sci-fi nonsense so nobody takes the real breakthrough seriously. But if the U.S. was working on Brown's ideas, where did this concept of a flying disc come from? For that, we have to look at a much darker source.
World War II Germany. The German connection is crucial because it provides the pre-Roswell context for what the U.S. military already knew. In 1947, USAF Lieutenant General Nathan Twining issued a secret memo, and in it he noted that these disc-shaped objects, what we now call UFOs, were something real and not visionary or fictitious. And here's the key part. Constructing a piloted aircraft with those characteristics was already within the present U.S. knowledge.
Which suggests the U.S. grabbed critical data during those tech plunder operations at the end of the war, like Operation Paperclip.
Exactly. Our sources detail these German projects, claimed by figures like Rudolf Zusar and Renato Vesco. We're talking about disc projects starting as early as 1941.
By engineers like Schriever and Meath, right, in places like Breslau and Prague.
Yes, and Vesco also describes something called the Fireball drone. It used intense electromagnetic fields to disrupt Allied aircraft radar and engines, which is a direct echo of Brown's work. It shows parallel development. But the deepest, strangest stuff came from an Austrian forester named Victor Schauberger.
Schauberger, he had a really radical idea, didn't he? Implosion technology.
The opposite of explosion, using centripetal force instead of centrifugal force to create a flying saucer, or a fliegende Scheibe.
And what makes his idea so important for our deep dive?
It's the result. Schauberger claimed a test craft actually rose into the air, trailing a glow of ionization. That glow, the visible electrical charge, is the key signal that the propulsion was non-conventional. He was using rotation, creating high-speed vortexes to tap into natural energies, which points directly toward the use of something called torsion fields.
Okay, so what exactly is a torsion field in this context? The term keeps coming up.
So, to put it simply, a torsion field is a field generated by spinning mass. It's theorized to be a physical field that can actually warp space-time itself. It's separate from gravity and electromagnetism. The idea is that rotation could directly influence an object's inertia or mass.
And if Schauberger was tapping into that with rotation, where did this research get completely weaponized?
That would be under the SS, commanded by the absolutely terrifying General Hans Kammler. The deepest, darkest secret was in Poland. The Bell experiments, known as Die Glock. This was not conventional engineering. This was top-tier, murderous research.
The device itself sounds like something out of a nightmare, a bell-shaped object made of heavy, dense metal. And inside, it had these rapidly spinning, counter-rotating cylinders filled with a violet, mercury-like substance they codenamed Zerum 525.
And the effects of the bell during its 1-minute tests. This is what defines the research as a mutant strain of nonlinear physics. It emitted a pale blue glow, and the effects were immediate and horrific. Liquids, including blood, would gel and separate into fractions. Plant tissues were just destroyed, chemically turning into a substance like axle grease.
Axle grease, that sounds less like a physics experiment and more like something from a horror movie. And the power it put out was immense, wasn't it?
Unbelievable. Electrical equipment would short circuit 150 to 200 meters away. The power required to cause those kinds of biological transformations is just staggering. And those bizarre destructive effects are believed to be the signature of immensely powerful, highly unstable torsion fields.
And the SS's commitment to keeping the secret was absolute.
Tragically so. The final act was the most extreme. Our sources confirm that the 62 scientists linked to the Bell Project were rounded up and murdered by the SS between April 28th and May 4th, 1945. A desperate final move to clean up the technology before the Soviets arrived.
So the U.S. acquires this mutant strain of nonlinear physics through operations like Paperclip, giving them this huge lead. But it also required a whole new level of secrecy, which leads directly to the creation of the modern black world.
Right. The modern defense infrastructure built around these programs was designed to be completely opaque. Bob Widmer, the designer of the classified reconnaissance plane project Kingfish, he called the secrecy unbelievable and counter to my conscience and morals.
It's almost impossible to grasp that level of denial. The blueprints for his plane, which lost the design competition, were ordered shredded by the CIA in 1959. Why?
Because the Black World system was modeled directly after the compartmentalized security of the Kamler stab,
Hmm.
a system where no single person, especially not in Congress or even the rest of the Pentagon, could see the whole picture.
They adopted a murderous Nazi security model.
Because the secret they were guarding, control over gravity and inertia, was just too powerful, too world-changing to risk anyone finding out.
And we can see echoes of this stuff, even T.T. Brown's work, layered into modern aircraft like the B-2 stealth bomber.
The B-2 is a fascinating case. The theory is that it uses electrostatic skin charging, derived directly from Brown's work, not primarily for stealth, but to manipulate the airflow. By generating a powerful charge, the skin literally repels air molecules, which massively reduces drag. It's a weight reduction device by proxy.
So it gets this huge boost in effective lift without any physical changes. But here's the genius of the disinformation campaign. The military allows this rumor to circulate that the B-2 has a full-on anti-gravity drive.
And that unbelievable sensational claim serves a purpose. It discredits any serious investigation into the actual application of electrostatics for drag reduction. It keeps the real functional secret buried by making any serious inquiry look like a search for little green men.
So if these secrets are 70 years old, what does the modern, open scientific search for breakthrough propulsion look like today?
Well, NASA's Breakthrough Propulsion Physics Initiative, the BPP, explores concepts like space-time distortion and even wormholes. Their goal is a 50-year fast trip to Alpha Centauri by the end of this century. They openly acknowledge that gravity, electromagnetism, and space-time are all interrelated, a concept the SS stumbled on back in 1945.
We see echoes of the German rotational research too, right? In the work of Dr. Evgeny Podkletnov.
Podkletnov, yes, highly controversial, but he claimed to achieve localized gravity shielding, a 30% weight reduction, using rapidly rotating superconducting disks, and the speeds he used, between 25,000 to 50,000 RPM, strongly echo the mechanisms described in Schauberger's device and the Kamler bell. The mechanism seems to be consistent. Rotation creates a torsion field.
And if that rotation creates torsion fields, that brings us back to the ultimate prize, zero-point energy, ZPE.
Right, and this is where the physics gets truly deep. Dr. Hal Puthoff explains that ZPE is the immense churning energy of the quantum vacuum. It's the energy that exists even in empty space. And the theory is that torsion fields, like those from the bell, can mesh with these quantum fluctuations and extract nearly infinite energy.
And if you can do that, you break global economics and warfare at the same time, which explains the secrecy.
It does. Now consider the strange case of John Hutchison, this inventor in Vancouver. He ran these chaotic, kind of unsophisticated experiments with low power and Tesla coils, and yet he documented these truly bizarre outcomes. We're talking levitating heavy objects, transmuting metals, and even causing localized time dilation where metal would momentarily turn transparent.
Wait, transmuting metals, like alchemy, that requires gargantuan amounts of energy.
Exactly. If Hutchison was pulling that off with scrap equipment, it suggests he was accidentally tapping into ZPE through chaotic torsion effects. And the military didn't miss it. U.S. Army Intelligence INSCOM analyzed the Hutchison effect in 1983. Their report recognized its potential for a clean, fuelless reactor, or, if harnessed rapidly, a bomb that would make a thermonuclear weapon look like a child's firecracker.
And that report, which acknowledges technology that changes everything, was later routinely destroyed.
Which just underscores the danger. It confirms this isn't just classified tech. It's a direct threat to the established world order of energy, warfare, and physics itself.
So let's bring this all full circle. We started with the mystery of a crash in Bakersfield, and we end with this profound paradox. A technology gravity control ZPE access that mainstream science says is impossible, yet it was openly discussed by aerospace giants in the 1950s.
We've traced its lineage from T.T. Brown's electrostatics through the Nazi SS labs specializing in deadly nonlinear physics. And the technology, based on harnessing these powerful torsion fields, hints at control over gravity, inertia, maybe even time itself.
And the ultimate implication is that the U.S. military established this massive compartmentalized black world, specifically modeled after a murderous Nazi security structure, all to master and guard these quantum leap technologies they acquired from them.
So the final question is, if the government has had the fundamental science for this for over 70 years, what are the actual capabilities operating right now inside that black world, beyond the public's and even Congress's oversight? Could the propulsion system for interstellar travel already be active, hidden in plain sight, just like the truth of what crashed on Saturday Peak was buried?
Something to think about the next time you look up at the night sky and see a strange glow.